Hey everyone, I am Jeff Reinholtz, Senior Manager of Partner Training with Datto, and welcome to MSP Insights. Today, I have the luxury to be joined by Steve Ross, Managing Director of Shackleton Technologies. Steve, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Jeff.
Well, Steve, I was excited to spend some time with you today and learn a little bit more about your journey. When you and I sat down, probably a week and a half ago, I think one of the things that really stuck out to me when we started to discuss your business regarding how you got your start and where you are now is you talked about really the level of effort and the grind it took when you and your initial co-founder started the business. Can you share a little bit about how you got into tech? Because I think it's fascinating. You come in, and again, stop me if I'm wrong here, but with an accounting background, you find a need and then you look to fill the need. And I thought what was really beneficial, Steve, in your story is you talk a lot about surrounding yourself with the right people. Would you share a little bit with the audience on your journey?
Yeah, no problems. We started off our company in 2004, and where we started was that both myself and my friend, we played football together, soccer together. So we're used to playing in a team, and we're used to all the shenanigans that go on being in a team together. So what we were looking at in our local area was, my background is in finance. I'm a qualified management accountant, and my co-founder was, he was the IT guru, not myself. So we got our heads together. We looked at the local area, and we kind of recognized that there wasn't really any real good MSPs as such. That we thought that they were doing a great job to service the local companies. So we put our heads together, and we brought in a really good technical guy, one of the best in our city, and we started off with the three of us, and that was in 2004 with a bank loan and some money thrown in the pot from all of us. I left quite a good job at that time. I was working for Accenture, the management consultancy company. So it was a bit of a culture shock to come from working for a huge organization with good money to starting off with half a salary and a bag full of ideas and how can we make this thing work? And that's how we kind of got going.
So I've got to stop and learn more, because I love the term you just used there with bank loans, pooling money, and a bag full of ideas, and making those ideas become a reality and pulling in the right people. Walk me through the growth of your business and maturity of your business and pulling out the right ideas out of that bag. What were some things that were really smart ideas? Because you talk about being able to take a look at the industry and your community and saying, hey, there's a need here, right? I think we can fulfill it. But I think what was nice is you talk a little bit about your co-founder and then bringing in someone that has a really strong IT background, you coming in with your experience with Accenture and building kind of the super team. But let's take a look at that bag of ideas. What did you think was going to work really well, and what did work well for you? And then as well on the other end, were there any ideas that you plucked out of that bag and you said, wow, I thought this was going to be a rocket ship for us and this thing's a dud? What were some of those ideas?
Yeah, so first and foremost, the three of us, we definitely had a good skill set and a good balance of sales and marketing experience, financial experience, and operational experience, plus obviously the technical knowledge. So we did have the good skill sets to really start a proper company. So we had this belief that, we're going to make this work. I mean, I remember opening the door the very first day we had our office, and it didn't have any windows or anything. It was probably the darkest place you could ever start a company. And I remember the landlord looking at the both of us thinking, those guys aren't going to last for more than 6 months. Because I think he thought that we were just two kind of younger type guys there without much, you like to laugh and a joke, but, without much kind of hope for us. But here we are kind of 18 years on, and we just had that self-belief. But at the same time, we did initially, we went around everyone that we knew everybody in our local area, just through sports, through playing soccer, we knew everybody. So we spoke our local contacts, and we got a few clients right off the back of that. So we immediately started off at that place. And immediately we started to look at having one of our great ideas, I thought, was the fixed fee. With being I don't think we're a proper managed services company at that time, but we did start off with charging for a monthly fee instead of a break fix, although we did have break fix clients. So that immediately gave us monthly recurring revenue, which today, as everybody knows, is probably, in my opinion, one of the best business models out there. So we had that, from day one. That was a great idea. One of the worst things that ever happened was that we didn't have a help desk. So everything was on a bit of paper. Everything was, I'll write this down here. I spent 3 hours at this company and 2 hours at that company. And then at the end of the month, because we were so busy, the guys didn't do anything like that. So as you can imagine, being a finance guy, I was asking guys, where's all our, but wait, I've got to build this stuff out for these clients. I've put it under that contract. Where is all the work we've done? Oh, we're too busy doing this, doing that. So we had hardly any income for that month. That was in the very first 3 months or so. But we quickly realized, look, we need to get a help desk system in here because this isn't right. So the next week we went away and looked at that. So that's how we kind of got going.
I think the piece that's refreshing to hear is how quickly, and I think this probably comes from your background of identifying a huge problem where people look at what I consider a paper methodology of trying to track, right? Where all of a sudden they're trying to do P&Ls off a piece of paper, and then really instilling a dangerous level of trust into people to write everything down. And when I say it's a dangerous level of trust, it's not as if people wake up in the day to want to be malicious. Just we run into the issues that people forget, right?
Yeah.
And they aren't always most in tune to going, was it included or was that a unique service? Is this something that's a net new billable, right? So kudos to you and the team to go, wait a second, we need to put our hands up. And I think also too, you right off the bat going, we're not going to be a break fix organization. We're going to have a monthly offering. Did you notice when you initially offered that, did you get some pushback from some folks out there, or did you find the adoption to be good when you told the story of here's your monthly reoccurring fee, here's what we're building, and here's what's included in it? How did your partners take that?
We found the adoption to be good. I couldn't think of anyone that really went against that. I think the way we kind of sold it was that it was a fixed fee, Mr. and Mrs. Client, that you're going to be paying, for us £500 a month or whatever it is. So they then know that that's their cost for their IT. We weren't so great at that time, with exclusions and whatnot. We built that up. So we're obviously doing some stuff that initially that we thought that now we would never do, would be excluded or whatnot. So we're just finding our feet with that. But that's how we did it. We didn't get much. People say, no, don't do this. But at the same time, we did have ad hoc clients. And that was probably a bit more of a challenge, because if we're billing ad hoc, then sometimes the client end of month would go and look at that and would query the bills more than what they would the fixed fee invoices. So it worked for us.
Nice. It's exciting to hear how quickly you did have that aha moment, because it's, when I go on this journey and I have these conversations, I've had the opportunity to speak to men and women who are leading MSPs, and they'll go through the monotony of the craziness on paper and ledgers for 5 or 6 years until they're finally broken. So while we're talking a little bit about products and making decisions, I think again, you and your team, when you thought about building your company, I feel like you were very much visionary in finding a problem and wanting to solve it very quickly through technology. I'd love to see and have you share a little bit of your story on the use of the AutoTask tool. Would you share a little bit about how you used it and what were some of the problems that you found that you were solving by using it?
Yeah, so I think it was nearly 11 years ago now that we've been using AutoTask. So we've been using AutoTask for quite a while. And I remember making that decision, walking around the park around here, and at the time thinking, should I go for AutoTask or should I not? I'd originally seen AutoTask, I think it was done in England, and I remember looking at it, and we did have a help desk system in place at that time, but we were using spreadsheets for sure. We developed our own billing tool. I'm pretty sure, and I have it somewhere written down, we had about 8 or 9 different tools that we needed that we were using every month to to send out invoices and to, basically collect data and look after our clients. I remember the billing tool that we used, if our developer had went on vacation, for example, and it didn't work, I couldn't send out any invoices. So that was, as you can well imagine, a disaster, because at the end of the day, it's all about cash flow. So I remember seeing AutoTask, and initially one of my technical guys said, it's just a help desk. And I thought, okay, that's fine then. And I went down and saw a demo down in, I think it was Manchester. And I thought, this is more than a help desk. This is a whole PSA. It's taken, the original ticketing query all the way through to billing, build your projects through that, opportunities, sales funnel, all that kind of stuff. I thought, this is great. And with my financial head on, I'm thinking, I love this. So yeah, it didn't take me long to make a decision on it. I remember, like I said, walking through the park around here for half an hour on a cold November day in Scotland with the rain, and thinking, I better go away and make a decision on AutoTask. And I remember that day firing back that email saying, yeah, we'll go for that. And it has been great for us ever since.
It's great to see what somebody initially thought it was to what it actually turned into, right? It's that aha moment. And I think
totally different. Yeah.
And I think it's refreshing to see how quickly you found the consolidation of all of these different tools under one umbrella and what you gain from it, right? I often I often joke with friends about the world on how we're consuming media today in the world of TV, where all of a sudden now, it's like, well, I've got a YouTube subscription and I got a Hulu subscription and I got an ESPN subscription. And then don't worry, I only need to remember 17 different passwords to try to watch my favorite shows. This is great. Am I saving any money? No, I'm paying twice of what I was, but I think I'm getting great value somehow, some way. So it's great to see how quickly you said, let's consolidate, let's get in one location and have everything speaking to each other.
Yeah.
To your point, not find yourself being single threaded the minute somebody does decide to go, hey, I'm going to go take 4 or 5 days out of the office. What just happened? You lost somebody.
Yeah, exactly. And there was no, our tools we had, most of them were self-developed. They were not bad. There was no integration with each other. So honestly, at that time, about 3 days to kind of finish my whole invoicing run and whatnot and go through everything. It was just, those were the bad days.
Well, and I think, though, to your point, I think we all have the best intentions, especially being around tech, where we see a problem and we're like, wait a second, we could probably build something close to that, right? We're surrounded by smart people. Let's build something. Then all of a sudden, the homegrown asset turns into, oh, who's going to keep it secure? Who's going to maintain it now? All of a sudden you're going, wait a second, do we have a dev team that we've spun up in the organization to support our own tools? Like, wait a second, how much are we paying this when we could just have the tool already taken care of? Yeah, I say that because I've lived through those moments in tech. So I completely get where you went to and how quickly you got to, this is where we're going. This is more affordable. And oh, by the way, this is alleviating a lot of our problems.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, and it did. Yeah.
So I've got to ask you, you've gone on this career, you've gone from concept or idea, you've identified a need, you've grown the business. This is the thing I love to ask everybody in these conversations, but I'd love to get your perspective based on the journey that you've gone on. But where do you see the MSP maturing? Where do you see the MSP over the next 3 to 5 years when you think about the work that you're doing for your clients today?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I don't think anybody can really predict the future, but for us, it's because, and I know we need to know, IT security is a huge area that we are working on constantly in terms of developing our skill set and knowledge base within that. The business application side of it as well is another area where we're working on, especially on the M365 and becoming more au fait with the actual the different areas within that, because it's such a huge product and becoming bigger as we speak. What I think is becoming less of the clouds here, obviously. So I think what will happen is most of on-premise stuff will be eventually phased out. But what I think the MSP will become more business consultancy. I think they'll become more the advisors to the business. And I know MSPs are doing that now, and I know we're doing that. But I think it's more of becoming more rounded It's all around, is around the technology, but it might not be the technology that we're using now. It's the new technologies that are coming out and how we can relate it to where the business is going and what their objectives are, and how we can use technology to keep pace with, you know, how the company wants our clients to see their company go forward in their business in the next 2 to 3 years. We have to be the advisors there to help them with that, and we're going to have to learn a whole ton of stuff that's that might be slightly out with our comfort zone just now, but at the same time we have to not change our skill set, but just think slightly differently on that.
Yeah, it's I would have to agree with you, because I think one of the biggest pieces that we're seeing right now when you think about the mature MSP, the future leaders, is I think the best MSPs now have a seat at the advisory board for the companies that they're supporting and assisting.
Yeah.
Because I think it was one of the biggest aha moments I think a lot of companies experienced coming through COVID and out of COVID was technology is no longer this hard sunken cost in my business. Technology needs to be working in my business, right? How is technology supporting not only their team, right, the men and women that work inside the business, but how is technology being leveraged for their clients, right? How can you best leverage cutting edge technology to grow business? What can be used? What can be leveraged? And to your point, where I think we started the conversation, was right off from the bat, you said, we're not going to be a break fix organization, right? We're going to sell on value. Here's your fixed fee. Here's everything we're going to do for you and help you make sure that you're not dealing with issues. And here's how we can get to do it. Versus, again, once upon a time, the break fix offering that, again, can be dangerous, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But I do love your approach of saying, you know what, moving forward, indirectly, we need to offer consultation. We need to offer guidance, not only the things that you need to have taken care of today, but more future proofing the business, right? Where I've always encouraged business owners, and especially small business owners, I've said, you know, you can't afford not to be working with somebody that wants to challenge you a little bit about what you're doing in the status quo in the technology space. You know, I said, you're always hyper brilliant in what you do and what you do well, but you need to trust an MSP to lean in and be them as the voice around technology, right? You need to feel comfortable. And I think a key word that gets overused, but if it's done correctly, I think can be successful, a partner that's at your table, that you want to lean in with, that you want to have that good, rich discussion where you've got a partner now in your ecosystem going, Steve, what should we do to solve this problem through technology? Can it be solved through technology? What's going to be your best recommendation versus going, how much is it? Right? To me, I tell people all the time, you can't afford not to have a technology conversation in your business today.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's so key to, I've seen it so many times, Jeff, with our clients. It's so key to their success. And I'm saying to my clients now, even like IT security costs, that comes up obviously all the time. And I'm saying to them as we speak, look, Mr. and Mrs. Client, these costs are now, they're non-negotiable in a sense that you have to incur them. They're almost like your rent, salary costs, electricity, gas. They're fundamental to your business, and that's the way you've kind of got to speak about and think about these things now. But we're here to help you make sure that that you get value for money and bang for your buck. And at the same time, we're working with you to ensure that you're reducing your business risk through working with us and through these solutions that we have in place. So that's the way we work. But you're right, on the consultancy side for sure. I mean, we run a business. We're business people ourselves, so we know the ins and outs of running a company. We think like business people as well. So we've got, I think, if you're not an MSP, it's a tough business to be in. Let's face facts. It's pretty complex. We've got a pretty good understanding about business and how they work. And by speaking to other business owners, you've got a lot to offer them in terms of advice and in terms of obviously on the technology side of it, because that's our bread and butter.
Love it. So I got a big one for you, Steve. Let's hit the rewind button to this career and the journey that you've gone on. If you were to sit down and pen a letter to your younger self that was kicking around the idea, the concept, and really, again, having the aha moment saying, I think there's a need in the community. I want to build this business. What's going to be that advice you're going to give to the younger version of Steve Ross?
I would say, I would go ahead and do it again. for sure. It's one of the best decisions I ever made, with all the good, the bad, and the ugly that goes with it. And you forget the ugly side of it, which is all about kind of growing a business. I mean, that's part of the course. It's about, again, I go back to sport. You build a team of people, and you've got to get the right skill set and place. So I think if I was looking back in time, I probably wasted a couple of years with various things. I think everybody is used to that, but I think with our company and the way we worked, we were always believed in ourselves, always were resilient. We had setbacks along the way, and sometimes you get up in the morning and go, I don't want to face this day, but then you get up the next day again and you go, right, come on, another 24 hours, let's go ahead and do it. So I wouldn't change anything, Jeff, from what we've done. I think a lot of it, what I've done, certainly, and what I've learned along the way has been good for my own personal growth, and I keep wanting to learn all the time as well. So I wouldn't necessarily change everything. I just probably wish it was, where I am now, I probably could have put a shorter time span. I think I'm 17 years in. I probably could have got it down to maybe about 12 or 13, but I'm pretty sure everybody can say that.
That's awesome. That is absolutely awesome to know that. So I'm going to ask you one more thing, because I think it's always nice when you think about reflecting on your own journey. What would be one piece of advice you'd give to that entrepreneur that's trying to get their start? They think they can build an MSP. They think that there's a value or a need in their community. What would be the one bit of advice you'd give to them?
Yeah, I personally think anybody can do it. I don't think you have to be super intelligent, because I'm not, to go ahead and do that. But I do think you have to have a bit of self-belief, and I don't mean arrogance. Far from it. It's a bit of confidence in yourself, and have that bit of if you get have that ability to bounce back. Also take advice from people. Big thing. Take advice. Speak to lots of people. Speak to people that have done it, and take an interest in their stories. People that have built a business, not just an MSP, but any other business. Take an interest in their stories, because this is where you learn. And you always want to go from, how do I get to where I'm going to in the shortest space of time. I would do that. Surround yourself with great people is the biggest thing of the lot. My whole philosophy now is, I want to build a great company with great people. That's what our passion is as Shackleton Technologies. And it's not, and getting great people is difficult. It's difficult, but you have to have people with the same core values as yourself. And if you get that, that's one of the things I've probably learned most. If you can do that and harness that energy and let go, don't be the person that knows everything, because that's impossible. There's a lot more people that know stuff, and if you can combine your strengths with people around you, you could almost do anything. I totally believe that.
I absolutely love the advice, Steve. That's awesome. That's amazing to hear. And I love the humility in saying, you know what, I think anybody can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I do. Honestly, 100%. You just got to have that little bit of belief, and an open mind, and away you go.
Love the perspective. Well, Steve Ross, thanks so much for joining us on this episode of MSP Insights. Have a beautiful time. Datto Partners, thanks so much. Make sure you take a look at all of our future episodes on MSP Insights. And Steve, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Jeff.